Hi guys, welcome to another video. Now today we are going to be doing a tier list of sorts. Now I've never really done a tier list before, so I don't know how I'm supposed to do it, but whatever is at the top is the most preferred or the best, and the stuff towards the bottom is not as good as whatever's at the top. So today we're doing a tier list including 5 dress-up games, them being Love Nikki, Shining Nikki, Suit You, Life Makeover, and Time Princess. Now, the reason I have these 5 dress-up games in particular is because they share a commonality. There's a reason I didn't include, Dress to Impress on Roblox or Fashion Dreamer or the Style Savvy games or anything like that. Those are console games. Well, Roblox not so much, but those play just a little different. I feel like Style Savvy has the closest in common with these games, but these are all free to play with obviously microtransactions and gacha elements and pulls and whatever. So I feel like these are the 5 most notable dress-up games that are talked about or played. So this is what I'm going to rank. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're going to start off with Love Nikki. Now, Love Nikki came out in either 2015 or 2016. It's the 3rd game in the Nikki series, the first game being Nikki Up to You, and the second one being Hello Nikki. From what I understand, I never played those games, but from what I understand, this is basically an updated version of those games. I'm gonna have like some screenshots and maybe some videos here of gameplay and just images from the other games, but you can see it's just an updated version of these games. Now, this game does take the story in the direction that we understand for Nikki now. The other 2 Nikki games are just kind of Nikki living her everyday life, whereas Love Nikki, she goes to this alternate world called Mirrorland, so it becomes an isekai of a sense. We're not really going to get into the plot of Love Nikki. It goes very deep, but just know that basically Nikki has been thrown into the middle of a war, a huge conflict in Mirrorland, and they solve their issues through styling battles instead of violence because of something called the Blood Curse. That's all I'm going to say, because anything else is just going to turn into a Nikki lore video, and I already have to get that started. So where do I place Love Nikki on this tier list? I'm going to put it in A tier, mainly because I feel like while all these games do have, and just gachas in general, have a sense of, okay, this is an extravagant thing, you are definitely gonna have to drop some money for it. I feel like Love Nikki does that definitely a lot more than Shining. Definitely a lot more than Shining Nikki. With Shining Nikki, I definitely feel like I can save up gems for like a decent event, so I don't have to like start spending real money. Love Nikki, I really don't feel like I can do that. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I think the story aspect of the game is very interesting. It definitely keeps me playing. I know we are behind in the American server compared to Miracle Nikki over in China, so I know we're behind on the story, but it definitely keeps me playing. Once you get to the higher chapters, it becomes harder to progress because you have to spend all your time crafting, using up all your stamina, and if you're impatient, using up all your gems. So, a lot of times you have to wait a couple days before you progress through the story, but there's a lot of little events and stuff going on to keep you, to keep you doing something. I do wish the UI was updated a bit. You can tell it was made in 2016. I don't like how it tries to make you connect your Facebook account. I don't use Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I don't use Facebook. So I'm always like, why are you trying to make me share and do stuff through Facebook? I get that back in the day, Facebook was a thing that you used if you were playing mobile games or something like that. But I'm like, come on, Love Nikki, it's 2024. We ain't using Facebook like that. Like, stop it. I do think that it does a really good job. Like, I will say I have never seen a 2D fashion game push things to the limit quite like how Love Nikki does, because when I think of 2D fashion games, I think of something like Stardoll And you can go to stardoll.com right now and it's like night and day when compared to Love Nikki. Like, you know, I actually went to stardoll.com the other day just to see if they had updated anything. They have not. They're still, it's like it's freaking 2006 back over there. So we're putting Love Nikki in A tier. Pretty good dress up game, especially for a 2D dress up game. It's one of the only 2D dress up games on this list. All right, so the next game we are going to put on this list, I think, is actually chronologically the next game that came out. Surprisingly, is Time Princess. Where are we going to put Time Princess? Let's see. We are going to put Time Princess actually in B tier, and there's multiple reasons why. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with Time Princess is a game where you find, I believe, I'm trying to remember the story. Your grandma has a fairy that finds you and basically says you're one of these girls that can jump into storybooks and, you know, live out the storybook tales the way they need to be lived out or wherever. There's multiple endings, multiple routes you can go. So it does take a heavy visual novel approach, and the stories can be pretty good. I think I'm on still on one of the earlier stories. I think it's called What Happened to Claudette. I'm kind of hooked. I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on? You know, I love me a little detective story or whatever. And there's some horror stories up in there too. So, you know, sorry, I just kicked something. So, you know, if you are a reader or something along those lines and you like stories, Time Princess is definitely something to look into. Like, I was kind of shocked at the huge catalog of stories they have in there. You know, your character goes in there, assumes the role of the lead character, and, you know, it just goes on like normal. The reason I put it in B tier though is because I think Hamster Buttocks did a big video on this, but it's very expensive and it doesn't seem like the developers are going to make it inexpensive anytime soon, if ever, because when they have events, some of these outfits based on the pull rates are going upwards of $100 to $150, and it's like, oh no, we don't have the money for all that. And now, don't get me wrong, with every game on this list, the outfits look gorgeous. The outfits are really nice. I do feel like too many of them come off like period pieces, is because I know with storybooks they gravitate more towards like maybe stories from the like steampunk period, you know what I'm saying, like the 1800s and whatnot, taking place in London. I think the first story they put you in is Queen Marie, which is Marie Antoinette. Which it was good. It was actually good. I really was getting into it. I did think it was overstaying his welcome. It's like, okay, can Lafayette just, I think that was his name, Lafayette, can he just steal me away into the sunset? And we ended because, you know, I was kind of like, okay, I'm tired of all these little twists and turns. I want to move on to something else. But that is another good thing. You can just move on to another story whenever you feel like it. So if you get bored of a story, you want to move on to another one, feel free, you can just jump right out of that story, jump into another one. But that's kind of why I rated it so low. It's unappealing how expensive these events are, even though the outfits look really good. Also, it just doesn't have a huge sense of community like these other games do. I know with Shiny Nikki and Life Makeover and Suit You, and obviously Love Nikki, all the other games have a big sense of community, and Time Princess really didn't have that much. And they're trying to kind of do it now. I don't know. It feels very single player to me. I did like how you could customize your own character and give her different skin tones and whatnot. That was fun. And I do like how your character is voice acted through parts of the game. I thought that was also really, really, really fun. So yeah, that I put it in B tier mainly because of that. If that wasn't an issue, I would probably have put it in S or A tier. But honestly, I have not read a lot of the stories, and I've heard that the quality of the stories has taken a huge downturn. So I'll be playing a lot more of it in the future. So we'll see if my opinion changes. I might start making content on it. Let me know if you guys would like to see some Time Princess content. Moving on, up next is Shining Nikki. Now, I already know right now, Shining Nikki is going up to S tier. So I started playing Shining Nikki and Love Nikki back in 2022 when Infinity Nikki was announced. I had no idea that Nikki was a franchise. This was the first thing I'm hearing of Nikki anything. So of course, when I found out Infinity Nikki was the 5th game in a franchise, I was like, I gotta go see what these other games are about. And I will have to say, of Love Nikki and Shining Nikki grabbed me the most. I was just, wow. The story, the outfits. I will say I wish they would add more skin tones. You only have 4, which is like their darkest, a mid-tone, light, and pale. Pale. Love Nikki has a lot of skin tones, so I'm not quite sure what's going on to where they don't add more skin tones to Shining Nikki. Time Princess has multiple skin tones. Life Makeover, so you all have multiple skin tones. So the only excuse that Shining Nikki has is you are playing as a character, Nikki, and you're not playing as your own character. So that's kind of the only excuse they have, which makes sense, but it's kind of like, you've given more skin tones in the past with Love Nikki. So, it's weird. Because I feel like out of all these games, the Nikki series has the strongest story, and part of that is because Nikki, to an extent, is her own character. But given the recent Nikki games, did I just hit my face with the microphone? With the recent Nikki games, you don't really see her family. In the old games, you saw her family, her sister Yo-Yo. You see she has a family and whatever. But in these new games, they don't really explore that. So Nikki's kind of by herself as an earthling. So changing her skin tone wouldn't be nearly as jarring as it would be in like Nikki Up to You or Hello Nikki, which is obviously why they did it in Love Nikki. And they're doing it in Shining Nikki, but they just need more skin tones. But I think what draws me into Shining Nikki more than any of the other games on this list is the story and the way they do the events. Because they do the events in a way where, an event comes and there's a new suit. There's a new suit. And they tell a story, an event story, and I just start reading the event story. I'm like, I want the suit, because I just get so into the story. I'm like, oh, now I need the suit now. I want to be like connected with the story. This past one, I think the event they have going on right now is a collab event. It's called Balala the Fairies. It's a Chinese magical girl anime they're collaborating with. Read the whole story. Bought one of the suits is free. You just have to log in every day to claim each piece of the suit. And the other suit costs $2.99. I spent that $2.99 so fast. I'm just like, oh, I need this suit. It's just so fun and so cute. There have been a lot of events where the stories get really intense, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Wow. So it really draws me in, and I can talk more about those in another video. All right. So next on our list is Life Makeover. You guys see me play Life Makeover a lot on YouTube Live. Where am I going to put this? So I think I'm going to put on S tier behind Shining Nikki. I've really debated putting it like either here, here, or here. I think I'm going to put it here just when I consider everything. So Life Makeover came out, I think, in 2023. I think Shining Nikki came out like 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. Life Makeover came out in 2023. It's made by the creators of a game called Dragon Raja, and you will see a lot of similarities, especially in the character models. I feel like on paper, and if I were recommending these games to somebody, I would say that Life Makeover is the most approachable of all these games and the easiest one to get into. I would say is the jack of all trades of all these games. The tutorial is not too much. Like for Shiny Nikki, I know people that have just put it down and deleted it because they just felt like the tutorial was way too much. Now, sucks for them. It sucks for them because I'm just sitting there like, you should have sat through that tutorial, girl, because this game is great. Life Makeover's tutorial doesn't do that. Life Makeover's tutorial is short, sweet, and to the point. But I feel like there's kind of a reason for that because I'm going to get into my gripes with Life Makeover a little later. Y'all have noticed I haven't really been streaming it lately. But Life Makeover gets a little bit of flack for being called a Shiny Nikki clone, a Shiny Nikki copy. To an extent, it kind of is, but also it's introduced things that Shiny Nikki had not done up to that point. So Shiny Nikki had to run and start doing it. One of the biggest things is suit dyes, you know, being able to change the color of your outfits. You were not able to do that in Shiny Nikki until Life Makeover came and allowed you to do that. Same with changing hair color and whatnot. Life Makeover also has events where you have to change your friend's clothes based on a theme. You know, you go in your friend's closet and put clothes on them that, you know, they might not have ever done before. And those are really fun events. I love seeing what people dress me up as. It's so fun. But other than that, the basic, I feel like because it has a PC client, it just by default looks the best. If Shiny Nikki were to get a PC client, it'd be very interesting to see what it would look like. But Paper Games has kind of said they're not even focused on porting Shiny Nikki to PC. That's what Infinity Nikki is for. So Shiny Nikki is going to stay a mobile game, it seems. But like they said, that's what Infinity Nikki is for, and that's a whole different beast. So much of a different beast, in fact, that it seems like Life Makeover made a post implying that in the future they are going to add an open world. And that's going to be interesting, but I'm going to be honest, if it's using the same engine as their house building gameplay section, I mean, that's kind of cool, but I'm just interested to see where they're going with that, if that's what they meant, because I do kind of feel like that announcement was a bit mistranslated or just maybe taken too extremely. I don't quite know if they're doing an open world. Y'all let me know. But that is something else we need to talk about. They have a whole life simulator mode where you have your own house, you add all this furniture, you can get a pet, you can cook, clean, shower, go to sleep, visit other people's houses. I love going to other people's houses and eating up all their food. That's a really fun aspect they added to the game, and that's kind of what kept me coming back. I will admit, if that was not in the game, if that life simulation mode was not in the game will probably honestly be maybe not down here with Time Princess, but it would be somewhere up in here. But that life simulator mode does add a lot. Not much really else I can say about it. I think that as a fashion game of this kind, it's really good. And if you like fashion games, definitely check it out. It is the one you should be checking out. Now, me personally, I prefer Shiny Nikki, but I do understand there's a bit of a learning curve, but there's a lot there. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of stuff there. So if you're not prepared to be pulled into a lot of stuff, yes, definitely go with Life Makeover. Also, you can create your own character and they can be of any race, and you can change their face, you know, you can change their facial features and whatnot. My only gripe with that is, and my biggest gripe with Life Makeover, is the story. When I tell you guys this is the worst story I have ever watched. I like that it's voice acted. Now, your main character is not voice acted, but everybody else is voice acted. I think the story is so bad. The story is so bad. The story is so stupid. Oh my goodness. Y'all, this story is bad. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's so bad. It tries to go a detective route with mysteries and twists and turns, but it gives you such heavy whiplash. You feel like you're going to break your neck. And then with Shiny Nikki, they incorporate Shiny Nikki and Time Princess. They incorporate like the kind of dressing up into the lore. With Love Nikki and Shiny Nikki, you know, there's styling battles. Love Nikki, it's a bit more of a I wore it better girl. Shiny Nikki is like more actually like a battle, like people are getting hurt. And you know, Time Princess, it kind of just fits in with the theme of the story. With Time Princess, it's in the moment, oh, I have to go downstairs to the ball, so obviously you're gonna have to craft this ball gown that fits with the story. Life Makeover, a lot of times though, like if you are actually reading and paying attention to the story, the dress up sections come out of nowhere. Like someone will have just been murdered and you get a text on your phone from Vanna and they're like, oh no, there's a Vanna request. I have to put on something sexy and sophisticated. And then you had to put on an outfit and do a lot of cute poses. I was like, wait, what? No, it's a bit ridiculous. So if I'm being honest, I just stopped paying attention to the story of Life Makeover altogether. It is so bad. But yes, I would definitely put in S tier. Last but not least, Suit You. Excuse me. Suit You. If I have any Suit You fans watching this video, I am probably going to make y'all upset. I don't mean to, but I gotta be honest. Suit You, I have to put it in C tier. And y'all might be like, why are you putting Suit You in C tier? I feel, and it might be my fault, I've seen so many people talking about Suit You, playing Suit You, to where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the big new game. Like, what's going on? And I see that you can dress guys up and whatnot. I'm like, oh, that's big. Being able to dress guys up. Only none of these other games on this list let you dress up guys. That's only something you can like do in Fashion Dreamer and, you know, some other games. I think Dress to Impress, you can actually be guys, but I think it's only a category. It's not really, you know, it doesn't really offer a lot. But that was really big. I thought that was really cool. So I turned on Suit You and I was like immediately disappointed. It's not bad, but it just, I don't know how to say it. In comparison, and maybe this isn't fair because it is hand drawn, you know, these are 2D sprites. You know, it takes a lot to draw all this and whatnot, but it was just giving, do y'all know that it's still, this game is still up. It's a web browser game. Bimbo Land, it's also called Zimbo Land. It was kind of giving me that. On this list, it is definitely the most yassified of all the games. It's like a lot sassier. It's giving like Mean Girls, like the Mean Girls movie. And I will say in the community section, I feel like of all these games, the community section is the most fun in Suit You because with it being more grounded, like this is the only game that's like grounded in our reality because the character you create is more of like a fashion designer or whatnot, you know, just going around helping people with their fashion faux pas. That's another thing. This story is not, I'm not going to say it's worse than Life Makeovers, but it's just not really anything. Like I was just like, okay, yeah, this story is kind of nothing. Okay. And I think another thing that disappointed me was the fact that if you're comparing it to something like Love Nikki, and granted Love Nikki has been out for so much longer and has 2 previous games under its belt, so this might not be a fair comparison, but there are so many poses and outfits that give you alternate hand poses and leg poses, hair, all this other stuff. And Suit You barely has any of that. I think they just had like an underwater event to where, you know, the character was kind of posed to be like falling underwater. So the hair was going a certain way. And I like that. I was like, oh, that looks pretty. Didn't have the money to pull for it, so I had to miss it. And I was a bit upset, but I saw people getting really creative with that in like the little social media thing in the game. but there's not a whole lot of that, and a lot of the fashion is so basic. Now I think there is an event going on now that has kind of like a fairy tale outfit, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna reach in my wallet and pull for that one because I was like, oh, that does look kind of cute. But it just wasn't, it's not enough in there. And I think for me, also with me being a content creator, and with me, when I play games like this, I'm not a free to play player. I've tried to be a free to play player for so long that it's just not enjoyable to me. I'm like, okay, I know I have to drop some coins. So, by default, already I'm kind of like, okay, I'm throwing money into Shiny Nikki, I'm throwing money into Love Nikki, I've thrown money into Life Makeover. It gets to a point where it's like, do I throw money into Time Princess? Do I really want to throw money into Suit You? Because I'm already throwing money in so many games. I think if you are a free to play player, Suit You does work fine, but it's another game that I don't spend a whole lot of time on when I get on. I just get on, do my dailies, and try to, progress, craft, see what new suits are coming. But when I was looking at the new suits to pull, I was kind of like, oh, they're okay. They're all right. So yeah, that's my tier list. Now, I will also give a disclaimer. I have not played a whole lot of Time Princess and Suit You. That might also contribute as to why they are ranking lower on this list. But I can compare the time I've spent with these two games with that same amount of time I had spent with these three. And it does seem to be, it gives me less. But let me know down in the comments. I'm curious to see what games you all enjoy. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Do you think Suit You should be S tier? Do you think Shiny Nikki should be lower on the list? Do you think, I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. Until next time, see you guys.